Nigeria's war against corrupt practices in public service domain is moving into higher gear. This is a strive by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) to ensure public officers are held to account in service provision for stability in government and economic development. Transparency Files is the name of the platform in our quest to monitor, create awareness, set agenda, and ensure citizens come to terms with reality that corruption is the bane for the collapse of our individual and collective values for a strong and viral nation. Transparency Files is it, a program produced and sponsored by ICPC, showing on the network service of the NTA every Friday at 6:30 p.m. Keep ahead with us as we track public finance, ensure accountability, investigate complaints, and prosecute corrupt practices and vices in public life. The International Youth Day is celebrated every year on August 12th. It is a day to recognize the potential and contributions of young people towards building a better future. This year's theme, From Cliques to Progress, emphasizes on how to encourage additional innovation and teamwork to advance sustainable development. Today on our program, we have youths to examine the issues at stake. First, Ruth Awodi is standing by with stories on anti-corruption. Stay with us.
Welcome to this segment on Anti-Corruption Stories. I am Ruth Awodi. The chairman of ICPC, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, SAN, has called on accounting bodies in Nigeria to sanction members who violate professional standards. Dr. Aliyu made this appeal recently while addressing the executive members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICAN, led by its president, Chief Davidson C.S. Alaribe, FCA, during a courtesy visit to ICPC headquarters in Abuja. The ICPC chairman emphasized that such sanctions would help prevent corrupt practices before they occur. He highlighted the importance of using technology to combat corruption, noting that it is a crucial tool for mitigating corruption in the country.
ICPC and ICAN are strong pillars of integrity in this country because I've already pointed out that I know the accountants I know that have integrity in this country. I know the accountants that leave their job. They left their job because of certain things they discovered that they do not want to involve themselves in corrupt practice and other sharp practices. They left their job. And ICPC and ICAN, our goal is to ensure that there is transparency, accountability, and integrity in the public sector because that's where we have our mandate, and also there are your people there that are working. And we need to come together to partner in order to strengthen the relationship. That will make a serious impact on our society.
Chief Davidson Alaribe, speaking on the purpose of their visit, proposed collaboration in the fight against corruption, stressing that the Institute was willing to train ICPC officers in accounting forensics and other financial crimes investigation techniques to enhance the Commission's capacity to combat corruption effectively.
We know that you have an academy, the anti-corruption academy, so our people were ready to collaborate with you to raise capacity in that academy, to make it richer, especially in the areas of financial and economic crimes. We are talking about fraud. Somebody will talk about fraud triangles. Yes. Why do fraud occur? What are the ways of preventing fraud? What are the financial implications of fraud? Effect on the community? Those things have to be measured. So these accountants who are members will go occasionally based on arrangement to give lectures to their members.
He concluded by inviting Dr. Aliyu to the 54th Annual Accountants Conference themed Governance Reimagined, Mapping the Future, scheduled for October 2024 in Nigeria. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Murna. Stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract we will do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old things. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap am.
Beg, see, you know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I could pay that one. You remember say me and tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, they pay you money now. Why we don't they beg caretaker? Why would they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time? Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure?
Sure.
Corruption not in my country.
According to the World Youth Report on the United Nations Department for Economic and Social Affairs, there are over 1.2 billion young people aged 15 to 24 years, accounting for 16% of the global population. Youths are not only the future leaders of tomorrow, but they are also actively involved in shaping the present. Therefore, the active engagement of youth in the anti-corruption crusade is central to achieving a stable society, as well as averting the worst threats and challenges to sustainable development. My name is Murna Barnabas Atiayi. With me in the studio, I have Mr. Habila Kait. He is the Executive Director of GLAMDI. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
I also have Idueze Hajara. She is an SDG advocate. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
We also have Mr. Moses Abolade. He is a peace building consultant, Peace Education and Practice Network, PEPNET. Welcome to the studio, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
So let's hit the ball running. Every 12th August is celebrated as International Youth Day. Why the need for us to have such a special day for the young people? I'm starting with the lady first.
Now, it's important to have that day set aside because we need to analyze issues faced by the youth in terms of participation, in policies in terms of making society a better place, and then prefer solutions to these issues. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Abila.
First, I want to congratulate all the youth out there on this very important occasion. It is a day set aside by the United Nations to celebrate the achievement and contributions of the youth in societal building. It is also a day for us to X-ray and look at what the youth can, contribute more in making the society a better place. Also, looking at what the interface between the youth and other segments and people of different age can, come together to provide solutions that better the society.
Thank you. All right, so I move you to Mr. Moses, talking about setting a day for us to celebrate youths, their achievements and contributions. Can you really say that the aim of this day has actually been achieved? Are we really doing something about it?
Yeah, over the years, we have been doing an International Youth Day, and different year with different focus. And I think we might not be there yet, but we are on a path towards achieving something, especially ensuring that there is this consciousness that comes with being young, and for youth to see that, there's a day set apart for us in the entire scheme of things. While there might be controversies around, shouldn't it be mainstream into all sectors and all that? But it's also symbolic when you know that this is the day that is set apart for you to think about. Like now we're dealing with click to progress, we're talking about digital skills, we're talking about green skills, we're talking about things that has to do with contemporary realities of young people. So it brings to question, it brings to mind of young people that, there is something significant about being a young person. And we are not just part of numbers. We have advantage, and we can take up this advantage in different ways. And I think those are the things that we should that the date is bringing to limelight every day. So it's a journey. We're moving, and gradually we're going together.
Okay, I still remain with you. You're talking about the fact that youth are strong, energetic, and they have good ideas.
Yes.
And you're talking about it's work in progress. Yes, it's work in progress. Can you say that if the youth constitute majority of the population, we are looking at the issue of corruption in Nigeria.
Yeah.
What do you think the youth can do when it comes to the issue of corruption? What can they do? What can they offer? What kind of contribution should they be making in order to see that the fight against corruption succeed?
So first, I will start just like I do with my engagement. I do say, it starts with the self. If you're a young person, personally, you know what is right and what is wrong, and you've developed yourself over the years to be able to manage your small spaces, family level, WhatsApp groups, and all that. From those smaller units, you have an organization you're running. How do you run it and all that? So when you're able to do all that gradually in a proper way, and ensuring integrity, you're ensuring capacity, you're ensuring that because those are the things we can have control over as young person first, to be able to exercise our capacity. And if you can do that properly, then we will now move to you saying you can advocate against who is not doing the right thing. And most of the people that are involved in corruption today, they started as young people. And that's why it's very integral to deal with issues around corruption for or by young people. And so those experiences are important if you can do that. Because if that must come to equity, it must come with clearance. And that means that if you can do it, it's not going to be easy. Even if you're running a small organization, which I'm doing right now, it takes a lot to ensure accountability. It takes a lot to ensure integrity, even in a small organization.
Let's talk to you, Hajara. As young people, he has said a lot. We must also, be people of integrity. Before, the people we are complaining about, it started somewhere a long time ago.
Yes.
What do you think young people should be doing? Because we need them to be in the forefront to help fight corruption, because it affects them more. What do you think? What are the kind of things you suggest young people should do? You are an SDG advocate. What do you think they should be doing in order to demand transparency and accountability?
Okay, so first of all, like he rightfully said, we need a reform of our mindsets. We need to understand that before things can change, we have to be better. As young persons, there are various ways with which we could play a role in curbing corruption in Nigeria, one of which is leveraging on technology. So technology doesn't have to be something very complex. It could be as little as employing your skills as a data analytics person to study patterns, study the trends, be able to access situations and see red flags in processes, in businesses, in organizations, in government. Because corruption is not just in the government. There are corruption, like worse cases of corruption in some organizations and in some businesses, even in some organizations that project themselves to be advocates for things that are beneficial to society. We could employ technology in curbing corruption, and also forming groups, community engagement, educating ourselves on the various forms of corruption. Now, we could also employ research, proper research, not just coming to state that this person has taken funds. No, do you have evidences to back up these claims that you have made? Because like you referred to prior to the start of this session, some things are just allegations. Now, can we back up these claims about corruption? I think if we could put these things into place, then we have a start in curbing corruption in Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Habila, let's come to you. You manage a group called the GLEMD. What kind of conversation do you put out there? And do you encounter any challenge? Because the challenge young people always tell us is that we are facing challenge when it comes to the issue of the fight against corruption? What kind of challenge we need to know so that we solve them? You understand? So what kind of conversation do you put out there in your little corner? And then what are some of the challenges do you encounter?
For us at GLEMD, one major challenge that we have seen is that of leadership. And a lot of people have not been part of the processes that elect leaders. And most times we complain a lot because we have not been part of the processes. Now, what do you do on elections dates? Who are the people that you canvass for? Do you listen to them reel out their manifestos? Do you ask questions on how they intend to go about what they're doing? Then what are you going to do when they eventually emerge as people who are holding those offices? Do you track their activities? Do you follow up to know that those promises are being met? Now, on election day, you see people roaming around because they are not participating. So how can you question people who are in leadership position when you don't fully get involved? So we are advocating in our small corner that everybody who is of a voting age should own a voter's card. And we're also advocating that people who go to voting on election days should ensure that every process there is clean. The vote buying, we also run campaigns to discourage votes buying. We advocate for a peaceful atmosphere that will lead to everybody exercising his franchise on election dates. Now, aside that, we also follow up with appropriation budgets and all of that. So we had a town hall meeting where we're able to sensitize people on the need that they should know what is happening in their immediate environment. They should be able to seek to ask their representative that ABC is allocated to or is said to be allocated to our place. What are you doing about that? So briefly, for us at GLEMD, our engagement is solely on how citizens view leaders and what they also need to do to help leaders progress.
Thank you. All right. He talked about accountability, holding our leaders accountable. Can you tell us briefly, how do we hold our leaders accountable? Ajara.
About last 2 weeks or so, I went to an IDP camp, and the state of life in that place, when I got home, I just slept off because I was down. The state of life in that place, these are places that money has been allocated to these places. It's not like it's not allocated. These people do not have access to water, which is one of the most basic things in life. So if we amp up our monitoring, it will go a very long way, because what we do in this country most times is talk. We host programs, we talk.
Mm-hmm.
We come on social media, we talk.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't take the right actions. We need to monitor these people, ensure that the money allocated, the funds allocated for these projects are utilized properly. If we do not do that, we still keep having backlogs of problems that we have not solved in the country.
Thank you. Mr. Moses, I'm coming back to you. She talked about we talk more than action. Now, the youths are heavy users of the social media.
Yeah.
How can we take advantage of that? Instead of talking, we need to encourage, more participation. And that participation is the fight against corruption. How do we talk more when it comes to the issue of corruption so that we can find solution?
So just like when I started, I was also talking about the fact that to talk most times, you need to be right to be able to talk. If you're not the right person to talk, because in peace building, there is all called positionality.
Mm-hmm.
Positionality talks about how your influence, your background, your actions or inactions can make you to be either quiet or you can be expressive, which in most cases we might need to pay attention to that first. Let the people be very good in themselves. Then it will be very easy for you to say, oh, A, B, C are wrong, and we can see how we can change it. Just like she mentioned about monitoring. Monitoring is a skill that should be learned. People will not become anything without, especially when it's a skill. People need to be taught. And that is why my own organization, Peace Education and Practice Network, we create a framework for a community that has more than 400 people, where every week we teach different concept around peace building, concept about conflict transformation, and not just the what of an issue, but the why. Because most times our problem is that we know a lot of things, but we don't even understand. People don't understand why they are like that. And these are structural concerns. So the person that would think of stealing something have propelled distance here and there. Why is not an excuse for what they do? Or youth thinking in a particular direction. There's an implant here and there. So while some people with wrong content are feeding our youth with a lot of things on social media or on different platforms, we that we think we know, we need to also do more. So if you have the capacity to have a community or a people, just like she did, going to places and all that, we must now use our influence in any capacity to teach those things we want to see, because we cannot do it alone. The context is so wide and so vast. So if we must be able to teach, how do they do these things? Why do they need to do it? Because if somebody know why, if they know that it is urgent, that if you did not monitor projects, if you did not monitor how money is being spent, it will affect you. It will affect everybody at the end of the day.
So give us your closing thought. Based on what he said, what do you think we should be doing?
We should look at the whole thing from a positive limelight and see that fighting corruption in Nigeria is very possible. What we need to do is, no matter how little, put in our efforts and also carry along the people around us, make them see the importance of the fight against corruption, and make them also understand that majority of the problems we're facing in Nigeria today are as a result of corruption and the fact that it has eaten deep into our system, and that to make the country a better place, little by little, each of us can put in our efforts.
Thank you. Give us your closing thoughts. What do you think we should be doing?
Okay, we need to strengthen institutions. We also need to be very proactive in handling corrupt cases from beginning till the end. These young people that are the major targets of or the major age bracket who can fight or who can advocate for a corruption-free society are also watching. So if people who are corrupt are identified and are dealt with based on the precepts of our laws, is going to serve as deterrent to young persons, from engaging into any corrupt practice. And for the young persons, technology should be, used widely through skits, drama, performances, and other engagements that to bring young people together to be able to, advocate for a corruption-free society. Education is basic. When you have the knowledge on what corruption has done and how best it can be tackled, it will help again in the fight against corruption.
Thank you very much. You talked about young people are knowledgeable in skits, dramas, and all that. So give us your closing thought in just 30 seconds.
So we need to strengthen institutions, as he has said. However, we need to also deal with the root causes of conflict and of corruption, in the sense that we need to deal with human insecurity concerns that makes people to be very thick towards this. And we must build those structures that will be stronger than just individuals. Right. So nobody is above the law.
Indeed, the Nigerian government and other stakeholders must recognize the vital role that youth play in fighting corruption and ensure that they are given opportunities to contribute meaningfully by empowering young persons with green skills and involving them in anti-corruption efforts. That way, we can create a brighter future for our country and achieve a more sustainable world for all. That's our package for this week. Thank you for joining us on Corruption Must Go. My name is Murna Barnabas Atiayi. Bye for now.